Welcome to Beyond the Box. I'm Alex.
And I'm Gary.
We're two modelers looking at what's in the box on our bench
and what lies beyond in the wider world of plastic modelling. Welcome to the first episode of 2026 and of Season 3 of the Beyond the Box podcast.
Not an official podcast of the IPMS UK, by the way.
Oh, heaven forbid.
Just to clarify anything from recent events.
Yes.
So whilst it's been a pretty turbulent start to the new year in both that and across the world, we do have brighter things happening in the world of modelling, which is what we're going to be discussing today.
Indeed so. We've had both the Airfix release announcement and the Italeri 2026 preview, as well as some snippets from other companies.
So let's just get straight into it. What did you think of the two release announcements, the two big release announcements that we've had, at least, Gary?
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with the Airfix one, to be perfectly honest. I know I'm sort of kind of biased because I do like Airfix, but then I'm quite happy to tell them when they do things wrong as well, to their faces, not behind their backs.
Indeed.
But I was really impressed when I interviewed them last week. I did kick off by saying it struck me as a very confident sort of set of things. It's not looking like a company that's worried for the future necessarily, although I think the very, very large number of vintage classics releases might be them saying, well, look, we need to pump out as much, we because the investment is largely already there, these can generate us enough money to support this kind of bigger release. And I think well done them for doing that and not being scared of doing that. But, some really nice new kits, some nice new re-releases, some new things back in the range that people wanted. And amongst those many, many vintage classics, some absolute gems as well. So I was really impressed. Still very upset they haven't got a 1/77 scale Halifax. But who knows? Telford is just 10 months away.
We still have those surprise announcements to come, so you never know.
Absolutely.
No, I have to agree. To be honest, I thought it was. I mean, I've been doing this, YouTube stuff for about 3 and a bit years. Coming to, I think this is the 4th year. I think it's the strongest release announcement they've had since I've been doing YouTube.
Definitely.
Like you said, it felt confident. It felt, to me, a lot of fan service, which I think you can't ask more. I mean, and this is something that Hollywood could learn from. Do what fans ask you for, and they will reward you with money.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science.
No.
It's like there's some real crowd pleasers in there. I mean, one of the things, and obviously we'll get to the releases specifically a bit later, but I mean, things like they've re-released the English Electric Lightning, BAC Lightning, the F6, which people have been asking for a long time.
Yeah,
they have talked about it in the past, that the Lightning and the TSR2 sit in that odd place of being good tools, but not quite good enough for the current Airfix Red Box. Obviously, they've decided that it is okay. Whether that's a financial pressure or what, I don't know, but but they're not vintage classics. So I think it's worthy of the box. I'm really happy to see that was released. It was the first thing available, obviously, and they've done it with a commemorative coin as well, which I think is by the by. It's a nice thing to have, but I don't have a reason to buy the kit. So I think a lot of things that people have been asking for, a lot of things that people have predicted, you and I included, in the past, have appeared in that list this year. So and it really felt like it was an extension of a plan that was made previously.
Yes.
So with the Saracen, with the Lysander Special Ops, hot on the heels of last year's release of the Stalwart and the Lysander, just as a couple of examples. So it felt very confident. And I think, Dale and the boys at Airfix know what they're doing. They know how to make model kits. They understand their market, I think. And I think when they're given a bit of free rein, this is kind of what they do. That's what it feels like. we won't talk about the wider financial things of Hornby specifically
Yeah.
today, because I think we don't want to muddy the waters.
Mm.
But I think that bodes very well.
Mm.
Under
Definitely.
Hornby or whatever future Airfix has, I think that team, is very switched on.
Definitely. I am actually going to get hold of one of those lightnings
Mm.
as it happens. I will actually ask them whether they do anything with the tooling for those
Mm.
borderline kits where they can't really, it's not up to like the modern standard, as it were, then they're not going to be. But it might be that they do a little bit of tweaking. So they certainly do with vintage classics. They do some repairs and some
Yeah.
modifications, whatever. Be interesting to see with something like that that's on the cusp of not being up to modern standards, whether they've tweaked it or sharpened bits up or something like that. Be interesting to see when it actually arrives and have a look at the plastic, of course.
Yeah, I think I mean, for me, that is kind of not a folly. It's a valid point of view, right? It's saying, well, it's not quite worthy of our box. But I mean, I did that, well, a couple of years ago now. My tribute build to my dad. It was his
Mhm.
favorite aircraft, and it's a good kit. I mean, obviously, I had the one of the original editions, the
Mhm.
F2 stroke F6, but which had just sat in the box, and the
Mm.
decals were fine. The ones that I used. Um, I mean, it has its issues, as all kits inevitably do, including
Yeah,
brand new ones from Airfix.
absolutely.
Um, one of which is, how do you get all the weight in the nose, of course, but that's a
Yeah.
design thing for the aircraft, not the model. Um, so I think it's fine to say, people understand this isn't a brand new tool.
Yeah.
The people that
Yeah.
have called for it and asked for it know where it sits.
Mm.
So I don't think it's deceptive,
No,
especially
absolutely
that
not.
Airfix have been very open about their, the age of the toolings and everything. It's printed on the boxes.
Mm.
Vintage classics are very clearly labelled at that.
Mm.
Not true of some other companies. And we know that
Yeah.
gradually
Yes.
the Airfix's example, and people like us talking about it,
Mm.
do seem to be changing that. We know
Mhm.
Naval are starting to change that. I know that Italeri have plastic made by Fujimi on their
Mhm.
recent releases of their Lamborghinis, for instance.
Right.
There's that transparency, which is good.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's not like there isn't that transparency there. So I think,
Mm.
rather than paying, over the odds at, or not being able to get the kit at a second-hand model show or whatever,
Mm.
it's good to make those kits available for those that want them. Um,
Absolutely.
I guess the big question mark, of course, comes in the QC element, as always.
As
Um,
always.
but that's not going to change, is it?
No.
Until something does change,
Yeah.
as it were.
Something fairly big has to change, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
And that, 'cause that's a lot of releases as well. That's a lot of
yeah.
pressure on their molding companies. And if they get a hold up on anything relatively small, then that can affect the release schedules for other things, and that's not a good look. So
No,
they say that they've got more than the capacity to do this and stuff like that, but I wonder whether they've got. Yeah, I would hate for them to think in order to get everything out of here before December, then we're going to accept a certain return rate that maybe is higher than
yeah.
most people would think is reasonable. I
I
do
think,
worry. That's my main worry about this.
yeah, I think the main problem for me, and I think for many others, is because it's India, it's an outsourced company on the other side of the world.
Mm.
You lose control. I mean, obviously, you lose control with any third party. So, Revell obviously makes all of its impressions in Poland, but that's a drive.
Mm.
You've got a
Absolutely.
big problem. Okay, you take a team, you drive over to the factory,
Mm.
and you work out what's going wrong.
Mm.
And it costs the fuel and a couple of hotels overnight for your
Yeah.
team. Take two or three people.
Mhm.
You can't just do that with India.
No.
And an Indian company, a completely separate third party, I feel may overpromise. Having dealt with India, I used to do, when I was CCO of a company, I used to deal with India, and it's a difficult market because they'll often tell you what you want to hear, regardless of what the actuality is.
Mhm.
Um, which makes it difficult, of course, because if they can't then deliver, because reality doesn't actually bend to those, vague
Mhm.
promises, um, you're in problems.
Mm.
Which I feel is some of where things have happened before, like Dale saying, it's all sorted, we're all
Mhm.
good, and then the 109 comes out with banana wings.
Mhm.
It's like, well, yeah, somebody may have told you it's sorted, but how
Did
can you
did
check?
you did you hear his explanation of that? This is
I
very interesting. Okay, he said, "The issue appears to be, unfortunately and ironically, principally on the kits that were sent out for YouTubers to review because they were airshipped and not sent by sea,
I don't
and the
believe.
temperature differentials are
Yeah,
what may have caused it."
I don't believe that because
Well, I don't know.
my kit wasn't a review sample.
Mhm.
Um, my kits were ordered through trade.
Mhm.
They were delivered by Hornby from its third-party warehouse in the UK.
Mhm.
They didn't have sequential serial numbers, which
Okay.
surprised me a bit. So
No.
allocation of stock seems to have been done kind of randomly. Um,
Yeah.
and kit I had was missing a bag, and um,
Wow.
I think that was it. I don't think I had many. I mean, some of the frames were a little warped, but not enough for me to warrant sending anything back.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, I think that sounds like a good explanation. It sounds
Mm.
plausible. I,
Mm.
I, I just don't believe it.
Yeah. Well, I've dodged a bullet because mine was fine so far, so we'll see.
Yeah, and
And I think I've got all the parts. I
yeah,
think.
and no torn instructions.
Oh, the instructions were torn, but
Oh, the
I'm
instructions.
taking that as a given. I mean,
Mine weren't. Mine were
Oh,
fine.
well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So
Um,
between us,
so yeah, I think that's one of those things that it sounds like a good explanation,
hmm,
but without direct evidence to support it, I
yeah.
am highly dubious because the
In fact,
anecdotal supporting evidence of being kits out there
yeah,
which did have problems that weren't airshipped still exists, right?
yeah. Well, it's interesting. I got the Airfix Club box the other day sent
All right,
through.
yeah.
I thought, oh, that's great, whatever. Opened it up, and the bit where the flap goes over the top and into that was ripped. I thought, do you know what? It's just like they don't care.
Yeah.
It's just like they don't care. The people who are packing are probably paid absolute peanuts anyway. Of
Mhm.
course, they would be, um, and they're not incentivized to care that much.
No.
They just it's got to be done quickly. Run of 6,000, they all have to be here now, pretty much. And it's just like, let's get it done. And I
Yeah.
thought that's just
I
slightly
think
symbolic,
it's
and
I
it's
think
not
it's
a big deal.
indicative of
Having a torn box to me is not a big deal. To a collector, it would be, but to me, it isn't. It's because it was the outer box that all the other stuff sat in,
yeah.
like all the stuff you look. Oh yeah, very nice. Yeah, whatever. Right, there's the kit. There's my key ring thing, and the rest. Yeah, whatever. But it shouldn't be like that, not when you're paying good money. You should get something that
Yeah.
looks right, and it's
I
attention to detail.
Yeah, I think it's indicative of a lot of company. I mean, it's a 21st century thing, right?
Oh,
Outsourcing,
yeah.
going, not even late 20th, early 21st century thing where everything is done by tender. It goes to the lowest bidder, and
Mm,
unfortunately, it costs money. It's false economy. So
mm,
when I was working in life sciences, we had so one company I worked for, we sold stuff to histopathology departments,
mhm,
right? So these are people doing diagnostics.
mhm,
So you go in, you have a sample taken from a lump, somewhere on you, and it goes to histopathology. They cut it up in very fine pieces, stain
mhm,
it, fix it on microscope slide, and tell you if it's, oh, that's fine, you're just fat, or
mhm,
you've got cancer, or it's benign, but we should take it out anyway, all that stuff. The machines that do all of that are expensive, right? Say 60 grand
mhm,
for one of these machines. Um, and the company used a shipper, and a lot of hospitals in London bought our stuff. And London it's a little bit crowded, and some of the
It can be.
hospitals are a little bit old because they were some of the first hospitals in the world.
Yeah.
And so access isn't that good. So a lot of these couriers took these machines, which are about the same size and weight as a washing machine
Hmm.
in a crate. And because they couldn't get them into the hospital access stores, they just left them on the street in London. And it's like, this happened a few times. We had a guy in a white van drop off a machine once, and they were just
Uh-huh.
like, "Is this right?" Um, and we had another bespoke mover that dealt specifically with valuables like these,
Mm,
and
mm,
they were about 50% more, but every single job they did was perfect.
mhm.
Whereas all
Yeah.
the other jobs, we had to get other people in, we had to get
Mhm.
emergency labor and stuff, so it ended up costing twice as much.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, so we actually had to put a special caveat in our equipment that, look, all of this, it doesn't matter what it is, it goes through this company. We
Mhm.
don't want to use the
Yeah,
regular
yeah,
shippers.
yeah.
We're just not having it. You want to deliver packs of slides and stuff, that's fine. But for
Mhm.
this equipment, it all goes through this shipper, this
Yeah.
specialist shipper, and that's it.
Mhm.
We accept the extra cost, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it ended up saving us money. And guess
Mm,
what? Customers were happier, so they bought more stuff.
mm.
It's not rocket science. This stuff,
No.
people don't like shit.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
um, but hey ho,
Yeah. Well, we'll
maybe
have to see.
maybe people will learn.
Yeah. We'll have to see how they get on. I mean, but Dale sounds very um, dedicated. Obviously, must understand that that's the one big thing that sticks in everyone's mind, and it may well not be any more awful a returns figure than another company were they to do the same sort of business. The returns rate may be the same, or I don't know. He doesn't seem to. He seems to think it's similar to most other companies, but then of course, a lot of the people he deals with, he ships in a lot more product than others. All the rest of it, that may or may not be the case, but it's public perception of
Yeah,
the issue that
yeah.
he really need to address. I
Well,
think.
the other thing, I've been in Dale's position. Right? I've been a product manager. I've been head of Northern Europe, and you would never publicly say, "Yeah,
Oh,
actually,
did
our
you
return
have
shocking."
Greenland?
Yeah, you know what? We're dreadful at this. Um, so there is the company face that you have to put on, and
Mm,
I feel for Dale and the team because
yeah.
so many times they've done such sterling work,
Mm,
only to the overarching perception. I'm going to take the Stalwart as an example.
mm,
You know, a kit that so many people wanted, yet what was and was so happy about, and yet the overarching feeling after a few weeks of people getting it was, oh, it's got these sync marks, in these places, and you have to deal with,
mm,
um, which is the wrong impression. You want people to be
mm,
excited and talking about the kit, not these things which are, you know, defects,
mm,
effectively. Um, and I think a lot of that, so some of it is under the Airfix's direct control, but I think a lot of it and the things that really affect this stuff, like sync marks and QC and all that sort of stuff, is under the larger corporate Hornby
mm.
responsibility, which is
Absolutely.
above and beyond them. So they
Mm,
can influence it at meetings by talking about it, talking about return rates and how much it's cost them and all that kind of thing, but they can't directly control it because
mm,
the decision is made elsewhere,
mhm.
which must be hugely frustrating.
Oh
But
God, yeah, absolutely.
but anyway,
Abs
let's hope all of that is dealt with and just look at the
Yeah,
um, yeah,
because the design work they're doing these days, I think is absolutely world class.
yeah.
It really is.
Okay, so let's switch over to South Europe
Mm,
and Italeri.
Italeri.
What was your impression of Italeri's release?
Um, I don't know, I wasn't as excited.
No.
Um, but there are one or two things, as we'll discuss later, there are one or two things that are like, "Oh my God, thank
Mm,
goodness. Thank goodness they've done that." That is, makes me so happy.
yeah,
A lot of reissues. I don't know how many of them are gonna be with new decals or whatever. It's not immediately clear. But a lot of things, but then they've got a massive catalogue anyway.
they
So
do.
saying that they've reissued 30 or 40 things is, yeah, but their catalogue's like 600 items or something. It's absolutely vast.
Yeah,
So that's not maybe such an issue, but yeah, there's some good things to see. Yeah,
yeah.
very happy. There's a couple of things that are going to make a lot of people happy. So
The Italeri release to me it's a real mixed bag.
Oh,
It's
it
a bit
is.
like getting a it's a bit, I guess, like having a nut allergy and receiving an old box of Quality Streets, where like three out of your favourites all have nuts in, so you can't touch them. Not so much now because they're all the same.
Yeah, yeah,
Sort of bland melange
yeah.
of not proper British chocolates. Um,
Gack,
but
yeah,
yeah,
allegedly,
ask me how I know. Um,
allegedly, yeah.
um, so yeah, you had some really nice new tools,
Mm,
and in some areas you just think, and again, like you say, we'll come on to it when we get to hit, miss, or twist,
mm,
because um, in one area in particular, they completely blow Airfix out of the water. Airfix just aren't in the game. They're not
mm,
even paid their chips to come to the table.
mm.
Um, Artillery just smashing it out of the park. And in other areas, again, that Airfix aren't really competing hard in, Airfix still beat them. You think, yeah, it's like, really? You kind of should be doing better there.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was a very odd one for me.
Mm,
And unfortunately, you do have to pick through their release. I mean, I did it in the stream last night.
mhm,
It took 2 hours. It took the entire stream
mm,
going through, um, and I did it in new tools, kits with new parts, reissues, and then non-original tooled releases.
mhm.
And that was a big section,
Yes, yeah,
uh, from a wide variety of different sources, which isn't inherently a bad thing. It's
no,
quite good if you've got a good tool of a company that's unfortunately gone sideways,
mm,
um, but the tool was good, and you've kind of bought it, and you can re-impress it, and people are happy. I mean,
mm,
imagine if, well, say Italeri picked up all the wings kits,
mm.
and impressed those and got those out. People would be ecstatic.
Absolutely.
Um, but it depends on the original tool.
Mm,
And when
yeah,
I'm looking, you think this is over 50 years old, and it wasn't the best at the time. It's like,
mhm,
so why are you doing this now?
yeah.
With no clear labeling, at least at
No,
Airfix,
no, no, no.
it's a nostalgia build,
Mm, definitely.
whereas Italian ones, you're not getting like, oh, we're re-releasing the Eschi kit of the M60. Remember
Mhm,
doing that as a kid? I don't know who would, but
yeah.
now you can build it again.
Should
No,
you really wish to?
yeah, should you wish to. Although the Eschi 1/72 scale kits weren't
Mm,
bad, certainly ahead of their time. Um, and again, the other thing with Italeri and their announcement is, of course, it was a preview.
mm,
Um,
yeah.
so we don't have prices on basically anything, apart from the stuff which is already released, which that was a bizarre thing, both on the Airfix release, where they mentioned the 109, which is like,
Mhm.
well, hang on a minute, that's been out for a
Yeah,
month.
we know that. Yeah, yeah,
With a big it's not like it went under the radar.
yeah.
Um, but but Italeri actually had a whole bunch of stuff. It was like, oh,
Mm.
released June 2025. Why is
I
it on
think
2026 preview then?
yeah, I think it's previewing the catalogue rather
Which
than
is,
previewing the range.
yeah,
So these are in the catalogue, even though you wouldn't have seen them in last year's catalogue. You see, they came in this year's catalogue because we
which
released them so late. But
which
you think,
feels
oh,
like
come on, guys.
marketing babble, doesn't it?
Totally, totally. And
Which
which opposite to the Airfix, like very obvious confidence and whatever, kind of felt a little bit like, well, we haven't quite got as much as we would have liked to have shown you. So
yeah,
let me remind you that we just have given you this, and we did give you this last November. It's
yeah,
like, kind of like almost like apologetic, which
yeah.
is a bit sad, really. I
It is
wasn't.
because I don't think they needed to be.
Well, they're a good company.
Yeah,
Ultimately, some of the stuff they do is actually really good. So I don't think they need to be like that.
it sort of reminds me a little bit of how Ravel were before Carrera picked them up.
Mhm.
Struggling a bit. I mean, let's face it, without the intervention of the Italian government, Italeri would not be solvent. that's,
Yeah, yeah,
that's clear, right?
yeah.
However, they got some nice toolings. They've been doing some nice things.
Mhm.
Is it, to me, a level every single time? No, it's not. Does it have to be? No, it doesn't have to be. There's a place for everybody in the market.
Mhm.
I mean, if that was the case, Hella wouldn't exist, and it wouldn't have existed
Yeah,
for a long time.
that's right.
Um, so, yeah, I think they just need to be. I liked one theme of their releases actually was that there was a strong Italian theme. They're playing to
Oh,
a whole market,
absolutely,
which they have done for a long time.
absolutely.
But I do kind of like that. Um,
Yeah.
so they're playing to the strengths in the same way that Airfix play to their strengths. You know, they've which we haven't seen necessarily all the way through. And I think they have that point of, either they go more international or they double down on home market. And I think
Mhm.
that's the way they've gone. Double down on home
Yeah.
market. Yes, we'll release some other stuff where it's timely,
Mm.
like the Pearl Harbor bits.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's smart,
Mm.
right? Especially in an economy as we are at the moment, which is
Mm.
quite tough. You got to make
Mm.
sure your home market is served before
Totally.
you can try to spread yourself everywhere. Right?
Mm. Mm.
So,
But Iveco is that an Italian truck company? Iveco. Do you know?
no idea.
It's just it's just of like these big trucks that they've reissued for the year. There's a big picture, Iveco da da da, and then Iveco da da, and underneath a tiny little it's a DAF thing as well. And it's like I'm wondering if like Iveco are like an Italian company because they're really bigging them up. And, oh, we also have this DAF.
Oh, yes, they are.
There you go. You
They're
see,
based in Turin, in Italy. There we go.
that's how they do it. We have this Iveco truck. We have this Iveco truck. Oh, we also have this little DAF. Yeah, it's like, and good for them. Why the hell not? Why the
Yeah,
hell not? Well, plug into a little bit of that sort of good feeling, patriotism-y sort of feel good stuff, and why the hell not?
yeah, yeah. I mean, but they also do like some popular stuff,
Oh yeah.
and they've got good tradition. I mean, the trucks. I think Italieri are really the only kind of mainstream company that one of the big kind of traditional companies
Mm.
that do 124 scale trucks.
Yeah.
Um, because I think Ravel have done some. They have retooled a lot of Italeris or
Mhm.
boxed a lot of Italeris stuff too. Um, but really, Italeri have served that market pretty well for a long time, since the 80s. And they've carried on doing that, which I think is good because it's not a huge market.
Mm.
It's certainly not the strongest market,
Mm.
but I got a feeling that it's quite loyal.
Mm. Oh,
So
totally.
um, I think that's good. That they're continuing to do that,
Mm.
and it's niche for them, which means that they're probably getting a lot of that market.
Mm.
Um, as I said in my stream last night, I do wonder though, because there's a lot of releases which are from the 80s and 90s.
Mm.
You know, is that good because they haven't been seen for a long time, and it's those modelers are happy that they're coming back, or are they just getting reserved the same old refried beans?
Mm.
And they do some newer tools.
Mm.
I don't really know because I'm not a truck modeler,
No.
so I kind of have this thing where I prefer not to model things that I could actually get in real life.
Mhm.
My chances of piloting an ME262 are
Slim.
pretty close to zero.
Slim, I would say.
So I can make a model of that. My chances of
But
getting
never give up on your dream, Alex. Never
yeah.
give up on your dream.
Oh dear.
You never know. Someone may get a two-seater flying.
Well, yeah, that would be something.
Mm.
Doesn't look quite the same though, does it?
No. No.
Yeah. So I mean, good releases, both of them. I think it'll be interesting to see, when we start to get those kits, what they're actually looking like, and
Mm.
whether they stick to the schedules. Because one of the things Airfix, I think, are pretty good. There's only a couple of times I think they've slipped with stuff, and usually it's only just to January next year and things.
Mm.
Teleri have a little bit less of a good track record on that.
Yeah.
We are seeing some of the releases. So the MC202, for instance, in 48
Mhm.
scale, was announced for 2025.
Mhm.
There were a couple of other ones I noticed as well, like the Harrier in the winter scheme,
Mhm.
the GR3,
Yep.
72nd scale. So there are some slippages there.
Mm.
It's nowhere. It is the odd few kits. It's nowhere near like Hobby Boss, where it's just like,
Yeah.
here's 200 kits that we're announcing, and you'll get probably 70 of them. Still
Yeah.
more than anybody else, but you can't tell which.
Yes, that's
There's
right.
a 30% chance of any kit that you want being actually available this year.
Yeah.
This one we're announcing for the 5th year in a row.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the Queen Elizabeth carrier was announced at least 3 times before
Yeah.
it arrived finally last year. But hey ho,
Well, how strangely accurate to real life it is, Ted. Frankly,
yeah, a bit like the Type
and I,
45.
and I bet it's arrived without any F-35s on it as well.
Hey, at least we don't drop too many off the sides.
Yes, that's right. Hey dear.
Anyway,
Excellent.
what about other releases, Gary? What have you? Because Mini Art have announced a few things. Um,
Yes.
we've
Yeah. Mini
seen.
Art
I
did
mean,
some stuff.
they kind of do a continuous dribble.
Yeah.
The 190, the D, the
Mhm.
Langmason. They've been feeding us regular little bits of that for quite some time now, and that looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. But they released or announced the basic kit towards
Yeah,
the end of last year anyway, and straight away, oh, there's going to be an advanced one, and it's going to be bonkers. And sure
like
enough,
yeah, like the
that
P47.
engine bay is gorgeous. I
Yeah,
mean, absolutely beautiful. Um,
yeah.
yeah, that looks
I
like
think I might just get the basic kit
yeah,
because a basic mini art kit is kind of like you know the advanced kit of everybody else, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then their advanced kit is like buying all the aftermarket for that kit,
Hmm.
all in one box. So
Yeah.
I've never actually tackled a mini art kit yet, so I don't want to jump in too much at the deep end and find
Hmm.
out I can't swim.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's they're sticking to what they know. There's yet more variants of the P-47 coming out.
Yeah, they've done an enormous different number of them.
It's just and every one a basic and an advanced version.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's a smart way to
it's
do it.
interesting. It's really interesting that Edward have announced their stuff and they're doing quite a lot of Spitfires
Mm.
and Mini Art and basically a lot of more P-47s and all that. Airfix have released no new Spitfires this year. They've got new
No,
markings for Douglas Bader's one, and I think the
the Swedish
Swedish
one, yeah.
PR-19, but no new tooled Spitfires, not new variants of Spitfires I'm aware of. And yet, of course, the first thing everyone says in the lead up, oh, it'll just be Spitfire, Spitfire, Spitfire. And actually, it
It,
hasn't been. It's
it's
quite
kind of
surprising.
it's just a
But
trope now. It's a meme.
spot the Spitfire. And I thought, well done, you guys, for. And the other thing, I must say, the other thing I thought was hilarious when I was chatting with them, I said, guys, by the way, the club kit, I opened the box, I needed sunglasses. What were you thinking? A vegan in red and a tiger moth in yellow. And Dale said, the funny thing is, Matt decided on this and didn't tell anyone until the test shots arrived. And they're going, I thought it'd be fun. And I thought, do you know what? That's the nicest thing I've heard all evening. I thought it would be fun because do you know what? To the likes of me, it's a hobby. It should be fun. I like that
Yeah.
spirit. I like that attitude. Maybe it's not the best received thing to do in the world, but then
Mm.
getting a vegan in red from something that's made in grey plastic is a little less challenging if you mould it in red to begin with. You
Well,
know?
yes and
And it's
no.
just fun. It's
I,
just fun. I like it.
I will. I'll be the
I won't
yin
go
to
in the
your
main
yang
road.
on this. I think it is. Let's say misguided. Um,
Uh-huh.
the Airfix Club. I see. Again, for me, the Airfix Club has no value. It is a
Mhm.
marketing gimmick, and I will fight anyone who says that it isn't. I was talking to a customer in the shop actually about this. Because he'd been watching some, I think Miss Modeler going through hers and talking about the stuff, and I was talking with him about it. Um, because I've been in sales for so long, it's so obvious to me because it's just like, oh yeah, that's a marketing
Mhm.
thing. It doesn't cost them anything. It's
Mm.
it's a loss leader, blah blah blah. And yet, so many people will like, oh no, it's great value and stuff. You get 10% off FX kits from the. It's like you can buy them at that price anywhere, anyway,
Mhm.
apart from Airfix. Airfix, the only people that sell at RRP.
Mhm.
So 10% less is what everybody else is paying, but you pay £35 for that privilege.
Mhm.
Oh, but we get extra kits. Yeah, you look at the value of what's actually a couple of extra impressions. It's
Mm. Mm.
um, the decals is the main investment, I
Mm.
think, in there.
Oh, yeah,
The other,
definitely.
yeah, the other stuff is really geared up for kids, right?
Mm.
Which I don't think, yes, in 1976 that was the main target audience.
Mm.
In 2026, the average age of the Airfix club member, I imagine, is pushing past 50
Oh,
to be
definitely.
generous.
Definitely.
Um, so red and yellow plastic for that age demographic, I think, is questionable. I think if you did it in a starter kit, if the vegan was a gift set aimed at children, and I think actually that ghost scheme, the last
Mhm.
vegan,
Mm.
that would be great as a kid's gift. I mean, if it was a new tooled vegan starter set in red, I would be singing its praises completely. For the
Mhm.
same sort of price as the F-35, brilliant. I'd
Mm.
recommend that to anybody. Um, a vintage classic as a club kit in red, which to really paint that, you have to, as I think Miss Modeler did, prime it in white to then paint it red. So you've got red, white,
Oh,
red.
no, I'd prime it in pink myself, but
But
yeah,
even so,
yeah,
you've got to cover up the red to make it red.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
so have you gained anything? Not really.
I just thought it was funny. I just thought it's
It's
hilarious,
it's a
and
funny story.
and I'm happy with it myself. I don't mind. It doesn't really, as you said, doesn't really bother me. But I just thought it was hilarious opening it up. I thought, oh my god, what are you doing? It's like the production manager said, "Well, I just thought it'd be a laugh." I was like, "Oh, great! Here's another laugh. How about my bloody Halifax? Where's that? Come on,
Yeah.
not laughing now, are you?"
If I was there, I'd be like, yeah, that's great, but the production ones are in grey, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
No, just do your job.
yeah. I
Like,
didn't
yeah,
mind it.
that's hilarious. It's like, or actually, a better what I would have done personally in charge of that, I'd have been, that's great. How many did you get impressed in this? Say
Mm.
100, so 100 test shots. It's just like, great. We'll randomly distribute those and do it like the golden tickets in, the
Yeah.
Wonka
Oh,
bars.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
you get a red one, you get your membership feedback or something,
yeah,
which is, that would be a way to boost membership adoption if people think
yeah.
they're going to get it for free if they get a red one,
Mm.
just, you see, for me, that's fun,
Yeah.
rather than red plastic, which is,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
Also, I just find working with red or yellow, like colored plastic, like dark green or anything,
Mhm.
it's just wearing on the eyes.
Mhm.
It's like looking at
Not
yellow
natural.
or red. It's like, yeah, it's not natural.
Not natural grey. Ah,
Yeah,
bah.
just fields of grey.
Yes, yes.
You can tell I'm a Gen Xer, just millennial grey. Look, I'm even wearing grey.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you see, you're more coloured. So, in keeping with this episode's theme, then of these new releases, hit, miss, or twist. This time, we're going to be looking at what we think is best from these releases so far.
Mhm. And as usual, we start off with military aircraft in 1/48 scale or larger. So, Alex, what was your top announcement here?
Now, there's a lot to choose between
Mm.
because, I mean, FX had the Hellcat re-release. It had the new Phantom, which I think is fantastic. I
Mhm.
think it goes on with 1/72nd one, but 48 scale is a much more popular scale these days.
Mhm.
The Jaguar T2, again, when I mentioned the sort of acceleration that Airfix seemed to be, the impetus.
Mm.
They released the Jaguar last year, and now they're coming out with the T2, which we all knew what was happening, as Dale
Mm.
said in the announcement. With the different nose. Um, that the T2, T4 was there. You've got the yellow Sea King, the one again everybody
Mhm.
wanted. You got the Lightning. You got the Gannet reissue of the original
Mhm.
version. Nothing different about that. Um, you got the Blenheim, the Lysander Special Operations again, the one that everybody wanted again.
Mhm.
So there's all this stuff, and then you got other stuff. You got Stuka and Vampire and things that
Mm.
I mentioned them all, but they're not going to get a shout, right?
No.
And then you've got Italeri, who have the 1/32nd scale Mirage 3,
Mhm.
the MC202 went to be from last year, the
Mhm.
SM79 all new. You've got the Texan, which will be very popular in the US.
Hmm.
and a whole bunch of other stuff, which again doesn't really feature. So it's bloody hard picking one out because you think, oh yeah, I like that. Oh, and I also like that. Oh, and I like that as well.
Hmm.
So picking one out for me was tough. But for me, the SM79 Sparviero, um, it has that nice balance of it hasn't been done. I think the latest tooling was back in 2003 from
Hmm.
Trumpeter,
Hmm.
which wasn't apparently a great kit. It was well
Hmm.
accepted because there was only one other tooling of it before in 48 scale. So this is only the third impression of it, or third tooling of it in or 48 scale. It's the right sort of time. I think you can see a lot of twin engined, and it's about the size of a twin engined, from any other country. Um, they seem to be very popular, like with the Hampton and Beaufort and all those kind of aircraft we're seeing. Um, and the option for sand and spinach camouflage for me, it's such an unusual, like the tri-motor arrangement.
Hmm.
Um, it's the torpedo version as well, so you get some nice options there. It just has lots of appeal to me. I think it's got a really wide appeal because of that, because of the camouflage schemes, because it's an unusual aircraft and it hasn't been tooled well before.
Hmm.
I think it could be really successful.
Hmm.
So obviously it appeals to the home market a lot, but I think it appeals well beyond that.
Hmm.
Uh, so for me, I think that was the standout. Um, the Phantom for me is too UK centric for it to be the top. Same with the Jaguar T2 because that was ours.
Hmm.
Um, the HS2, the Airfix one's very kind of focused into the home market, which I think is commendable. Um, but it was difficult to bring it down to that because I was also torn with the 202 because that's a beautiful aircraft.
Hmm.
But I think the SM79 being that little bit more unusual just pips it for me.
Hmm.
What about yourself?
Again, with the same reasons, I had a lot of difficulty choosing
Mm.
between them. I love an SM79. I love a Sparviator. Absolutely adore them. I've got the 48. Edward did a reboxing, and they just
Mm.
chucked in every piece of resin and photo etch they could possibly create. About 2/3 of the plastic you have to hack out and replace with resin. And now Italeri presumably had done most of that work for you because the molding technologies and everything else, design technologies are going to be so superior. It will be an absolute delight. I can't wait to get my hand on it. However, I'm a very emotionally driven modeler, as anyone who's watched any of my live streams will know. And for me, the Jaguar T2 is as
Mm.
soon as they announced the Jaguar GL1 and 3, my first question was, when's the T2 coming out?
Yeah.
I don't care if it's been molded in such a way they're only no, when's the T2 coming out? When are you remolding the fuselage? And when I saw the way it had been done and it's so very obvious the T2 would fit in, it's like, well, when's it coming out, Dale? I want it. I want it now. I want it now. In fact, if I'll look it up and I'll give you a register, I'll give you a serial number, and that's the one you're going to make, okay? Because I've flown in one, and that's the one I want to be. That's what I want. So he ignored all of that, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah, the ones that have appeared are nothing, but I can work that out. It's just something I've wanted in 1/48 scale. The good kit of the T2 for such a long time. I enjoyed the GR1 so much, or GR3 rather. I built it as. Um, I really, really enjoyed building that. Um, I didn't enjoy the undercarriage at first because I completely messed it up.
Really?
Uh, I completely, to the point of like, I'm going to go, oh, can't do that. So I wrote to Airfix and said, look, this frame here, right, can I buy one of those, please? Because I've totally pooched it up. I don't care, I'll buy one. And they just sent them
Yeah,
all of
that's
the parts of the undercarriage. Unfortunately, they'd very kindly taken all the parts off the frame, thus losing all the part numbers.
oh, no.
Yeah. Okay, it was very, very nice of them to do it, but guys, if you are gonna send a lot of parts
They
out to
just wanted
someone,
to give you a challenge, Gary. It's just like,
oh,
he
they
messed up
did.
one. Let's see what he does with no numbers.
I did. So after about 3 hours of dry fitting, I finally figured it out. I mean, for the next one, I've already got a seamless intake set for it. I'm going to get a 3D printed undercarriage set for it. I'm not quite sure, but I'm very excited about it. Likewise, the Phantom. I think it's very smart with the Phantom it being
Mm.
the FG1, the British one, because there's very little competition for that.
Yeah.
148 Phantoms to
Listen,
the
really,
F4E
well,
would be stupid,
you
frankly.
got the Tamiya one, which immediately sets the bar extremely high to
Yeah.
try and compete against that. So yeah, for me, making a British Phantom makes one of the things I didn't mention in the overall sort of release overview was this seemed really business savvy.
Mm. Yes.
It seemed like there was a solid business decision that had been made behind every single one of those, with a couple of exceptions, which I'm sure we'll come to.
Mm.
And the Phantom for me is just like this. This will make money,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, totally.
undoubtedly will make money.
Mhm.
So yeah, but for me personally, the Phantom does nothing for me. It leaves me, you know, it's like, yeah, it's a Phantom,
Mm.
and it's a little bit fatter because it's got space in it, and it's got that ridiculous long undercarriage at the front.
Yeah.
It's the one at the Fleet Air Arm Museum.
Yeah.
Next,
That's the perils of having very, very small aircraft carriers with not very powerful catapults, frankly. But yeah. Again, a plane I've wanted. I will probably get one of those when they release it, either as the RAF. Actually, I'm not sure they'll do it as an RAF FG1 because I think only one or two squadrons had them.
yeah,
If they'll do it as the FGR2, which superficially is almost identical. Lots of squadrons had those. I'll definitely be getting an RAF one at that side. The only thing that puts me off the Phantom is the number of stencils on it. I mean, seriously, how many times do you have to put on the bottom of a plane, "Don't open this," in various words? I mean, really, leave this alone.
yeah. You just say to the crew, look, just don't open anything on the underside of the aircraft.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it would be
You just
easier.
tell
I mean,
one guy the bits that
it,
he can open. Everybody else just
yeah,
stay away.
yeah. And then if I don't tell you to do it, don't open anything. If we got that, right, excellent.
Yeah.
Put your black paint away. Let's go off. Yeah, but anyway, there's a lot of stencils on them, and some people will like that. That would be a work of purgatory for me, I'm sure. A work of and
Yeah,
and there's going to be a lot of, oh, am I ever going to see this, or should I really do this? Tiny little number 3 that sits here on the inside of the missile bay, and I'm going to put a missile on top of it. Do I bother?
yeah.
You know, it's not going to happen.
I got to that with the Hunter, because the Hunter
Oh,
has a
right.
ridiculous number of stencils on it in the Airfix kit,
Mm.
and I kind of got through it. But I'm just like, the thing is, if I put one on, then I've got to put the other one on, and then
Yeah.
I've got to put all of the similar ones on. And if I don't put one on, it's going to look weird. So I ended
Mm.
up doing them all anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
There's
yeah,
always that little strip of decal paper with like one like line on it with a
yeah,
funny symbol on the end. You think this is going to be so difficult to put there because it's really delicate and it's long and thin. And it's going to curl up, but I have to.
yeah.
But because I've done, and it's just sitting on the bench there, and you think, oh, it laughs at you. It laughs at you, Alex. It sits there laughing at you. So you're not good enough to put me on, are you, big boy? I am. It's been a long week. I'm sorry.
But I do get the T2 though, because I think for me, the T2 T4 is a more handsome aircraft than
Mm.
the single seat version,
Mhm.
which isn't often the case with the two-seat conversion,
No,
trainer version.
no.
But I think the Jaguar, it works really well. So plus, of course, you get twice as much stuff. So it's
Yeah,
better value.
yeah. And the Raspberry Ripple scheme from ETPS looks really
Yes,
cool. That looks
yes.
really properly cool.
I think there'll be a lot of those rather than the regular ones.
Yeah,
Because I saw that scheme and I thought, oh, that's the one I'll do.
yeah, yeah.
Well, the thing is, I've done a standard, the GR1 with I actually did the really early one, which has the French nose,
All right. Yeah,
not the
yeah.
pointy nose, not the
Mhm,
French nose, but the pointy one.
mhm.
Um, so I did that one. It's sitting there looking at me there, mocking me with its lack of canopy. Um, but that has the light grey underside.
Yeah.
So it's before they went to the wraparound, because I think it
Mhm,
looks a little bit more interesting. I've got a Gulf War one as well, the Hella one next to it.
mhm.
And so the Raspberry Ripple one would mean I've got three Jaguars all completely different, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas if we did a wraparound green scheme, well, it's almost the same. It's like,
Mhm.
you can't really do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
okay. And then for category winner for 48 aircraft, who do you think wins out in the overall 148 scale and higher um, releases?
Well, I think it would have to be Airfix because the breadth of things, not just the new tools, but the things they brought back. I mean, bringing back the Hellcat,
Yeah.
that's great. And apparently they're going to be reissuing the Typhoon and the Mosquito as well. They'll have like this rolling program of reissues of those sort of five what they call new tooled 1/24 scale things. So at some point, the 1/24th Mozzie will come back. Probably, I'm going to guess around 200 quid at least.
Yeah.
But they'll sell everyone they can
Yeah.
press.
Sure they will. Sure they will.
But yeah,
But yeah,
I think they've just done a great job on the large models this year.
yeah, I would agree. I think the category winner is not even a close contest. I don't think, you know.
Mm,
Although I chose the Sparviero as my top kit,
mm,
it's one. Well, Retaliatory, I think you've got two really good releases: the 202 and the 79. The 132nd scale Mirage 3, I think it's a good kit. It does have
mhm,
some issues, but it's a relatively recent kit. Reissuing that, I think, is smart. But everything else, and the Texan, yeah, it's okay. But everything else there is kind of nothing. Whereas Airfix, they just got, you know, as I mentioned before, just release after release after release
mhm.
in
Yeah,
big aircraft. I think a lot of people are going to be looking at their wallets
yeah,
with pitiful eyes this year,
mm, yeah,
just thinking,
definitely.
oh no, it's going to take a beating.
Yeah, definitely. Shall we move on then to
Indeed.
small military aircraft?
Take us
Was
on to your choice then, Gary,
yeah.
of what you did, what you think won in the small military aircraft category.
For me, it was actually very simple. Much as I like a Junkers 52, and there's reasons why I think they've done not a great release on that. But for me, it was the Canberra coming back. 172nd, new tool,
Hmm,
great aircraft, overdue a revamp, very popular aircraft. There's going to be loads of versions and markings available. And I think for once, I think can say they've nailed the price point on this. Absolutely
yeah.
nailed it. I think that actually in terms of doing Airfix a favor, I think that could even be my favorite release of theirs in terms of public perception of what Airfix are doing. To bring a completely new tool of a very popular aircraft back in and then not charge 80 quid for it.
Well,
I think is
let's hope they don't screw that one up then.
yeah, let's hope they can actually make them. You know? But I love it. I love a Canberra, always have. Um, I always remember seeing them at air shows and being told they take off mainly due to the curvature of the Earth. But once they get going, by God, they are brilliant. At high altitude, they're stunningly good aircraft. Um, I used to know slightly the guy who flew them, BB Mont. Um, he he loved them. His favorite aircraft in were Canberra, then TSR2, then Lightning. Those are his
Right.
top three favorite aircraft of all time. And it was a beautiful airplane, world beater, and from what I've seen of it so far, which is very little, it looks like a really nice model as
Yeah.
well. And it's excellent.
I mean, the Canberra for me, again, is one of those aircraft that my dad loved the Canberra.
Mm,
For me, it always looked like old fashioned. It had this weird globular sort of blob on top, which was slightly offset to one side, which made it look a
mhm,
bit weird. Um, the wings were kind of like clunky. So it doesn't really do anything for me as an aircraft. Um, but I completely agree with you, Gary. I think it's the best release in the 172nd scale aircraft section, or
mm,
small and 148 scale aircraft.
mm,
I was a little bit torn between it and the Shackleton re-release,
mhm,
because I think the Shackleton it's again it's a weird aircraft. It's big, It hasn't
Oh,
been.
really?
I mean, it's only Airfix and Ravel that have recently tooled it. I think they tooled it within a year of each other as well.
Mhm.
2015, 2016, I think they were. Um, they sell for ridiculous money on eBay. Um,
Mm.
so I think it's a really good release. And again, it does nothing for me as an aircraft. I think it's weird and a bit ugly, um, which also means I want to build it
Mhm.
because of
Yeah.
my strange oddity with
Weird
massacre.
and ugly is good. Weird and ugly is great.
Um, but the Canberra, like you say, it's not been tooled very much
Mm.
in 72nd scale.
Mm.
Um, it's an extremely popular aircraft. It was used widely,
Mhm.
because in the 50s and 60s, we tended to sell all our old military equipment to the Commonwealth, and then they sold it to other people. So they got all kinds of different weird markings on them eventually.
Mm.
Um, and like you said, the price point I think is spot on. Now, for me, naturally, when they announced the JU-52, which
Mhm.
again is surprisingly ill-tooled, I think 1977 is the latest
Mhm.
1/72 scale tool of that
Mm.
before this one. I think they fluffed the price on it. When I saw it
Oh,
was forty-one
same.
ninety nine, I was like, "Oh, have I made a mistake? Is it 1/48 scale?" And I thought,
Mm.
"Well, that doesn't make sense. It can't be too cheap." And it's like, "No, it's 1/72 scale, but it's 42 quid." I'm like, "That doesn't seem right." I
Mm.
know it comes with some barrels and some stuff, and it looks gorgeous, but it's a lot. That's a
Does it
lot of money for a
does it
70.
need to come with barrels and stuff, though? There's an aftermarket.
I know, I know. Maybe it had some room on the sprues. Um,
It's bizarre.
yeah,
And
it
also, when I asked ChatGPT to predict what Airfix will do, its top result was Junkers 52 in Lufthansa markings for the centenary of Lufthansa.
I saw
I
that,
thought
yeah.
and then I saw Junkers 52, I thought, "Oh, well done." It's the military one.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
specifically the military transport version.
ah,
Because when
okay.
I was looking at these categories for civilian aircraft, which is very poorly served, as I'm
Mm,
sure you know, and we'll come to shortly,
yeah.
I thought, "Oh, well, could the JU-52 fit into that category?" And so I looked it up, and it's like, no, this is specifically the military transport version. So
Yes.
no, they can't have included a set of decals in for Lufthansa.
No.
I expect it might be like a surprise reboxing in the
Oh,
year, but
it might be, I guess. Yeah, it might be.
which
But
if they did it for less money, I think could be good. But
yeah.
yeah, I think that was a bit quizzical for me
Mm.
and a little bit disappointing, especially when you got a Canberra, which is, let's face it, it's probably the same size or maybe even a little bit chunkier, um, for 12 quid less.
Mm.
It's like, yeah, I don't get that one.
Well,
The
there's a
Chapel
whole lot
Hill,
less interior for a start.
well,
I mean,
yeah, certainly you can
it
see.
looks astonishing. It does look amazing with like the whole thing with the ceiling door that can open and this door can open and got full interior and all this. And I think, yeah, but
If it was 48 scale, that would be amazing.
yeah, and some barrels. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm struggling now. I really am struggling to see the justification of that. But it does look astonishing. The ribbing on the
Yeah,
corrugation on the skin looks so well done.
yeah, it does.
But
It'll be a nightmare to mask and paint,
yeah,
but
it would be interesting to see how they do the joints actually, where the
mm,
joints are in the fuselage, to see how if they can hide them somewhere that it's
yeah,
not going to be sanded off as soon as you put it together.
because the Italeri one, which is I think probably the better from between that and the Hella tooling,
Mm,
um, basically has the fuselage in strips,
right.
like long strips, so
Mm,
that you don't like join the corrugations up. You're
yeah.
joining it out effectively like the aircraft was built,
Mm, mm,
which makes it a pain in the ass to put together, but it does
mm,
look very good when it's done.
yeah.
And that was like a 1973 tooling or something. Um,
Mhm.
that was the Italieri, um, which I
Right.
still say, even though they
Yeah.
removed the A donkeys years ago,
Yeah.
so I can't get out of the habit of saying that. The other one thing it bears in mind, saying about the Airfix 1/72 scale releases is the F117A,
Mm,
which
that was an odd one.
that blew my mind when I saw that. I was just like, why? Because that again, I think that's the same price as the Canberra, right? That's
Mm,
£30, and it's like it's 1/72nd scale F117A.
mm.
Yeah, it's got the stars and bars decals on it.
That's the only
But,
reason I can think of because of the 250th anniversary next year.
but those have been available in the aftermarket and actually
Yeah.
have been in kit boxings of it for years.
Mm,
Um, there are better kits available. I actually was talking again to a customer in a shop about it because they were saying about that. And I was like, yeah, and I actually went to the shelf and picked one up, and I think it was £12.50
mm.
an F117A. And say you spend 12 quid on the aftermarket, it's still less. And
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
better kit. It's
yeah,
like, it just, yeah, for me, that was a real head scratcher.
yeah,
Amongst this sea of like really commercially savvy releases,
mm,
there's that, and you just think, eh?
yeah. I'm
Um,
also very happy to see the Mitsubishi Dyna back, the vintage classic Dyna, only because I think it's a very elegant looking airplane. I think it'd be a fun build,
and it's only £10,
and it's only 10 quid, which is like
9.99. Yeah,
really
I
good,
think
isn't it? Oh, it's
unlike
really good.
unlike the Catalina, which was again, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
I
that's a
don't want
beast.
to. Whereas the Italieri one had lots of things which I think you think, yeah, they, I'd like to build that, but there's nothing that you could point to and say that's exceptional
Mm,
for me.
yeah,
I mean, the JU 188 in 72nd scale is a really old kit, but it's
mm,
basically one of the only toolings in 72nd scale of the 188. And it's a
yeah,
lovely aircraft.
yeah,
Um, I wish ICM would do a 148 scale one. Um,
absolutely.
the F111, again, it's a
Mm,
phenomenal aircraft, but it's it's an old tooling. It's the old Eshi kit.
mhm,
It's like you can get the
yeah,
Hasegawa kit, so why would you? I don't know. The Strato tanker, massive, massive aircraft in 72nd scale.
mhm,
And if you want a Strato tanker, great, but it's the old AMT kit,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah.
But fortunately, in Italian plastic, so at least it'll be soft enough to sand because you will
Yes.
have to sand it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the only saving grace.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, for me overall, the category winner is undoubtedly Airfix.
absolutely,
You know,
absolutely have to agree. I think
despite the
they've
small
done a
grumble.
great job.
You Um, yeah, I mean, the Canberra alone, I think, aces it. The
Mm,
Shackleton is a strong second, and
mm,
then, like you say, the other little bits they got, like the Dyna and the Kate as well.
mm,
Kate, I think, is a
yeah,
good comeback. And they got little things like the P40 and the Wildcat. You know,
mhm,
Avro 504 for those of you who are
mm,
masochists out there.
yeah, we like rigging.
Tiny little thing. Um, so yeah,
Mm,
Airfix have won both the aircraft categories so far.
mhm, yeah. So that leaves the civilian aircraft. So what's your choice there, Alex?
Well, of the two civilian aircraft we have to choose from, so we
Toss a
have the
coin.
AB the AB205 from Italieri, which is basically a commercial Huey,
Mhm,
um, or the Vintage Classics short Skyvan, which was a prediction I made for last year as a Vintage
mhm,
Classic release. So it's got to be the short Skyvan. Um, it's such a weird aircraft.
mhm,
Um, they're redoing the Greek Olympic scheme, so
yeah,
that in cartograph decals um, for this little weird thing, I think it's a winner for
yeah,
sure. Um,
totally.
I, I mean, in terms of you talk about fun and the hobby being fun, that's a fun thing,
Yeah,
right? Especially
yeah,
with the Olympic Airways decals.
yeah,
Um, I really enjoyed building the Bristol Super Freighter. This is in the same vein
mm,
for me. Um,
mhm,
not an aircraft that I'm passionate about, just like the Super Freighter, but they're interesting. You get to flex your modeling chops a little bit because you
mhm,
do have to do a little bit of work to make them fit,
mhm, yeah,
but not too much. And they
yeah,
they feel like they're good value.
mm, absolutely. I really know one guy who said he's going to get this and is going to do it as a sort of a poor man's AC-130 gunship and have some sort of minigun pointing out the side or something, or it's the sort of thing you can do when you've
Yeah,
got a vintage classic that costs not very much.
yeah,
You don't feel so bad about hacking it apart and doing fun things with it, or doing alternative schemes, or whatever. Just
yeah.
letting your modeling creativity flow. I think it's great. I like the plane anyway, and I'm so glad to see it back. All they need to do now is put in the Britain Northern Islander back in, and I'll be a very happy bunny then as well. But yeah,
I think
great British airplane. And as you say, that Olympic Airways
yeah,
marking with the Olympic scheme is going to look so good in new decals.
that's what I'll be doing. And with a few of these, this I think it will be really interesting having that and the super freighter, just next to each other,
Mm,
in the shop. That's
mm,
quite a good little display.
yeah.
Um, I might actually, just with you saying about free your creativity, I might do one as the only fools and horses, in a theme, like yellow and weathered to hell and Trotter's International Enterprises.
Yeah,
Yeah, I might do that. I might get one for that. Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, I think Airfix has to win that category because
yeah.
if Italia we really didn't put in a
Didn't put much effort
strong
into that,
hand.
frankly.
They're just
Frank,
like, yeah, we've got a pair of twos. That's
yeah, yeah. All in.
all in. Yeah. So that takes us out of aircraft, which Airfix have a clean sweep of in categories. Now we move to the ground, which Italia have been traditionally stronger in.
Mhm.
And we start off with large military vehicles, 148 scale or larger. Gary, what did you go for here?
It, I, I would say I would say, oh, it's an instant thing, but it wasn't, because I
Mm.
do like the Opel Blitz, the 4x4 Opel Blitz, and I know a lot of modelers like that. But but it has to be the Saracen, the 135th Saracen, and for two reasons. Firstly, because it's a very important thing. They've used the Mark V, which was the one that was up armored and used in Northern Ireland during the Troubles. So it's the one that people will be familiar, of a certain age, will be familiar with from their TV screens. Um, it kind of reinforces their drive to do more 135th Cold War
Mm.
British light vehicles, which means at some point they'll do the wonderful Humber Pig, no doubt, and one or two others of that era again, which are very, very familiar to a lot of us from
Yeah,
those days. I hope they've learned a bit from their design and manufacture process, so they don't run into any problems with it. But
yeah.
it was just a delight to see a Saracen 5. Absolute, just a delight to see, and think more British Cold War vehicles, please, because again, a lot of the stuff that they could be doing, the Bedford RL series of trucks and things like that,
Oh,
really,
Bedford MK
the
series.
MKs later on as well, yeah. Um, Apart from accurate armor, which A, no longer exists, and B, were insanely expensive anyway.
Quite difficult to build.
Yeah. Apart from that, they just weren't represented really at
No.
135th. Um,
I had a chap come into the shop last week and he said, I'm going on holiday. I've just come out of the army. I want to build everything I drove during my career.
okay,
And here's
fair
a
enough.
list. And so we went through the list and went through it and it's like, right, okay, I'll have a look and, get in touch with you when you're back. And I got on the computer and as I started going through scalemates on like what kits were available of these, every single one, accurate armor,
Yeah,
accurate, like the MK stroke ML series or MR series, use Bedfords, yeah,
yeah.
all accurate armor. Because he wants 135th scale, something
Hmm.
reasonably sized. Um, so I can't remember what the FV was. But basically every single one, apart from the stalwart, it's like
Hmm.
stalwart, it's like, yeah, I can do the stalwart, got one on the shelf,
Yeah,
that's fine.
yeah.
Um, but they were all accurate armor. And I'm just like, yeah, this is, if Airfix can move into that space, there are no competitors because
Mm,
accurate armor, as you say, doesn't exist. Even if accurate armor existed, an Airfix injection molded one could easily sit
yeah,
side by side because they're completely different value proposition, right?
absolutely.
Accurate armor was, yeah, completely accurate. You got all details, you got wibbly bits, you got lots of photo etch and resin versus a fairly standard build. and if you want to add detail to it, you can. So I think Airfix have a pretty clear direction. I would have
Mm,
hoped if these kits are successful, which I hope they are, um, to go down and fill that space. I think that would be
mm,
great and really
yeah,
prove that they can do 1/35th scale and that this is their territory. You know,
totally.
um, for me, I'm in complete agreement. I think the Saracen is the standout of all the releases.
Mm,
Did think for me the Opal Blitz, the 4x4, it is different from the 4x2. It's
mhm,
not a huge amount different. And once you've got the Tamiya 4x2 in there, that makes that a little bit difficult,
mhm,
I think, for Italeri. But I think the M1 Tusk
mm,
they're releasing. So it's their M1 kit with new parts to make it the Tusk, which a lot of people like, a lot of people
mhm,
ask for. I think that's a good release. I just don't think it's quite good enough. It'd been a completely new tool, maybe,
mm,
but the Saracen, I think, will be. I think it'll be very successful. Again, home
definitely.
market, and it's also got that Thunderbirds type appeal. It does
Yeah.
look like something that doesn't quite exist.
Mhm.
You know? um, I really hope they do a Saladin because I think the
Oh,
Saladin
yeah,
is a beautiful
absolutely.
armored car. I think it's got appeal beyond home market because it just
Mm,
looks really nice. Um, and obviously, the Salamander and all the other ones
mm,
that were essentially based on roughly the same
mm.
chassis with changes. Um,
Well, I think it's a
so
good time. We've had the ferret, we've got the stalwart, now we've got the stalwart with the big
Remember,
hydraulic crane on it. We've got the Saracen 5. I'm sure they must be seeing, because it's a ferret that's done very well for them.
mm,
The Stolly did very well for them despite its issues. I think a lot of people have still built it and enjoyed building it.
yeah,
And
and the issues aren't insurmountable. I mean,
oh,
they're
totally not.
annoying, but
Yeah,
they're not problematic
yeah.
really.
And to be honest, to quite a lot of modelers who maybe have served with them, they're going to not see a lot of the problems once everything's put on. If you see what I mean, I
Well,
think
and
to
also
a lot,
they weren't
the more
perfect.
casual modelers are not going to bother
Yeah,
worrying about it. You know,
I
but
think they're more probably
the
people
second bit's
will
that.
be more worried about. Well, these sink marks weren't in this place; they were here.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
there were dents in this piece, but not there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'm hoping that really is a sort of a confirmation of their intent to do Cold War British vehicles, because it's, as you say, it's a marketplace just
Yeah.
waiting, waiting to be filled up with some decent kits.
Okay, then
And
who do you think
they are
wins the?
generally speaking very nice kits as well now. Very
Well,
buildable,
yeah,
very
yeah.
enjoyable to put together.
Well, and the Cromwell. I mean, they did the Cromwell close support
Mm,
as well. That's been announced. That's a beautiful kit to put together. It's a really nice build.
mhm,
It's not really got any vices now that they've corrected the wheels as well. There's no literal rivet counter pieces to
yeah.
complain about. Um, it goes together really nicely. I would recommend it to anybody who's interested in the Cromwell. It's a really nice kit.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, it's good to see they're continuing to expand on existing toolings and just expanding that space.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, who do you think wins the category then? Because
Oh,
Italian did
Airfix.
release a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but you know, I'm tigered, panthered, hetzered out. To be honest, L640, the Carrera Master L640 is a nice reissue
Yeah,
of a nice little tank, a nice little tank. Um, the Linche's nice. T55, yeah, T55.
it's the
Not
old
that bothered. Yeah,
and I
it's
think
not.
in a world where Border Models, TACOM, and Ryfield Model exist, who have all done excellent kits fairly recently of basically all of those subjects,
Mm,
apart from the ones you just mentioned, the L640 and
mm,
the Linchi, um, these old reissues don't cut it.
no.
Um, I mean, even if you just look at the Tamiya releases, Tamiya have issued almost all of these things better. I mean, the
Mm,
M36, why are they doing an old M36 when Tamiya did theirs last year? It'll
mm,
be about the same price. That's the thing.
mm,
If they were releasing these at £20 each, yeah, that'd be good. But
mm.
they won't be doing that. I can guarantee they won't be that.
Well,
So
to me, a panther or to me, a tiger is a good thing. It's a good kit. I mean, not just, yeah, they're all right. They are good kits. Are very buildable. very enjoyable. I built a Jagdpanther last year, and it's just a joy. I really enjoyed making it, and I'm not an armor builder by
I mean,
any stretch of imagination.
that
But
Tackle Panther was
yeah,
£25.
yeah,
Came
yeah,
with a metal barrel. It's
yeah.
beautiful. And they're trying to compete with that. It's like, I don't
No,
see it. No.
no, definitely not. And that's the wise thing Airfix are doing, looking at the holes in the market that appeal to their modelers, as you said, giving the people what they want.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
wise, very
Yeah. So
wise. Very
I
wise.
think Airfix released, only 3 models in this category, whereas Italeri released, what, God, over 10.
Mm,
But the Airfix releases were like sniper bullets.
mm,
They were all in the right place.
mhm.
Um, whereas Italeri, it feels a bit like spray and pray.
Yeah,
There's an awful lot of misses there.
yeah. Well, the converse would be for smaller military vehicles below
Yeah,
148th, where
indeed.
Airfix have a lot, and Italeri had a couple of things. What was your favourite release in the smaller scale of military vehicles?
Well, these are basically the battle of the reissues.
Yeah,
Because for Airfix, they've got the 4x4 refueler, which is a JMD kit. The Saracen and Matilda, Vickers Mark 6, Centurion, Chieftain, Leopard are all old Airfix reissues, vintage classics in the main. Whereas Italeri only have 2, the old Eschi M60A2 and the M8 Greyhound. So volume-wise, Airfix wins, but I also think in subject, I can think of a couple, well, 3 of these that I'd have before any of the Italeri ones. The one I've gone for here is the Chieftain, principally because the Chieftain is the tank that I had as a dinky toy or corgi toy, I don't know which.
mhm,
It was big of metal as a kid. So, it was literally the tank of my childhood.
mm,
I think it's a cool looking tank as well. In fact, I've got the Tamiya one sitting on the computer just there,
mm,
which again, it's an old tooling. It's a really nice build. It's inaccurate in a lot of areas, but it's fun.
mm,
Um, I think this vintage classic will be exactly the same, and it's
mm.
£10, 10.99
Yeah,
RRP.
yeah.
So for a tenner, it'll be a nice little piece of childhood memories for me, and
Mhm.
it'll be an interesting little kit. I think if I wasn't going to choose that, the Centurion or the Matilda, the Saracen, they'd all have similar kind of associations.
Mhm.
So for me, yeah, Airfix gets it with the vintage classic Chieftain for me. What
I
about
would
you?
have to 100% agree with you, and for similar, when I was younger, the Centurion was the main battle tank of the armed forces. It stood out because it still had a rifled 120 mil gun, as opposed to everyone else is going to smooth bore and fin guided, fin stabilized munitions.
Philistines.
Yeah, we were sticking at the time with rifled barrels and an astonishingly good gimbal stabilization system, so it could fire accurately out to 2-3 kilometers whilst on the move over rough ground. It was like the tank. It was at that time it was the best tank in the world by a
Oh,
long way,
and
and
Chobham
it was
armor,
ours. Chobhamama, yes,
top
it was like
secret. Yeah,
it. It was like so many levels. It was the best of the best, and it was ours, and we had a lot of them at the time.
yeah,
And that's a dim, distant memory of having the very best in the world and having a lot of it.
yeah,
And it's that nostalgia which the vintage classic range just nails, absolutely nails. And it's a good looking tank as well, as much as a, a 65-ton killing machine can look good. It doesn't. It is actually a well proportioned vehicle. And again, from what I remember from many, many years ago, it's a decent little kit to put together. And she's like, 10 quid. You can't really go wrong
yeah.
with that.
It's very distinctive, the Chieftain, in the way it looks.
Mm.
Very unique. Like you say, it was distinctly British, wasn't it? So
It had the same feel to me as the Buccaneer, the Mark II Buccaneer had heading towards you with those big inlets and that hunched look. And it was like if you're not on my side, your day is about to go spectacularly badly. And the chieftain's got that look about it as well. I
It
think
does.
it's a purposeful design, let's say.
Yes.
And it was the best, one of the best military vehicles, I think, in my opinion, we've ever built.
Yeah.
And superb. And I will absolutely be getting one of those to build. And I'm not an armor builder, as I say, but I will definitely be getting one of those just for the fun of it, the sheer joy of having it again in my life.
Okay, well, another win from Airfix then. We haven't had
Yeah,
Italeri yet win a category, but
no.
that might be about to change as we come to civilian vehicles, Gary. What did you
Yeah.
take us through that category and what you chose?
Well, from Airfix, there aren't any.
So Italeri win by default, which is
Well, yeah, yes and no, to be fair, I think. But yes, they do win by default. But however, they've got the 1/9 scale kit of the Vespa
Hmm,
moped coming, which is a lovely thing. They're also reissuing the matchless G50 for a proper motorbike. There's, as they say, the 1/12 Mercedes-Benz SSK and the Lancia Delta Integrale Safari version with all the multiple bars and bits and pieces on top. So a reissue of that in 1/12 scale. 1/24th, as you were saying earlier, they basically own 1/24th scale trucks,
yeah,
articulated truck cabs and pieces. Um, I like the fact two of the American ones have got like, these Glidotronic or whatever names, and there's an Australian one which is like Black Thunder,
Black
mate.
Thunder.
That's what it's called, and that's what comes out the pipe. It's like it's a proper Aussie truck.
Yeah,
Lots and lots of other more contemporary trucks as well. Police Range Rover, which will be very popular. Ford Transit, 1/24th. Great idea. Then rallying Fiats and things, and the Porsche 956, Land Cruiser with safari markings, zebra stripes on. Quite a lot there. My favourite, I'm going to plump for the Mercedes-Benz SSK in 1/12th.
yeah,
Um, it's
yeah,
just a beautiful looking thing. I mean, just a beautiful thing. And in 1/12th, it's a proper size for a
yeah.
very, very, very rare car indeed.
That's going to be a beast, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we don't have prices, but it's got to be less than the 4.5 million the last time I saw one go to market.
Yeah, I mean they're doing it. You probably won't get much change out of £140, I expect.
No.
140, £150. That tends to be what their 1/12 cars have been. But
Hmm.
I mean, you get a lot. You get a lot in
Yeah,
the box for
yeah.
that. And yeah, this one was quite a difficult category for me. I'm not a civilian car builder or civilian vehicle builder.
Hmm.
Um, as I mentioned on the stream last night, the trucks kind of leave me cold. Although I was kind of tempted by Black Thunder, I must admit.
Yeah, yeah. You're
Kind
not
of
allowed. You're not allowed to. You can't just say tempted by black things. It's got to be tempted by Black Thunder.
well, it does look really. It wouldn't take much to make it Mad Max, would it? Well,
Oh, totally,
there's
absolutely. That
but yeah,
has
I mean, for me,
Outback on it.
there were
Yeah.
really, yeah, there were really only three contenders, which were the SSK,
Hmm.
um, the matchless G50. I think is interesting because it's the old Protar kit, which was only ever issued once.
Hmm.
Um, so the chance to get that again, it's like that. If I don't know if Airfix finally found that, oh no, actually we have got the molds for the SA2, the
Hmm.
SAM 2 that everybody craves for
Hmm.
some reason, um, and reissued that, a chance to get that for like, whatever it would be, 12.99 or something.
Mm.
They sell like hotcakes.
Mm.
So I think the mattress G50 is an interesting one,
Mhm.
but I don't know what that old Protar kit was like. I've seen pictures of like on eBay and stuff, and it
Mhm.
looks pretty good especially for the time.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure when that was, sometime in the 80s.
Mhm.
But for me, the Vespa, the 1/9 Vespa that they're doing is completely new tooling.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, they had and it was only a couple of years ago that they released a 1/9 Vespa, but it was the old
Yeah,
Proton kit.
that's right.
So they got a completely new toolkit of this, and it's just so iconically Italian.
Mm.
Um, I think if they do it right, which they seem to be investing a lot in their big scale, civilian vehicles, whether it's 1/9 scale for the bikes, 1/12 scale for the cars and stuff. Obviously you'll go well in the home market,
Mhm.
but it's so iconic. Vespas were sold in their hundreds of thousands all over Europe. You
Mhm.
know, at a certain time with certain people, certain gangs and stuff. You had the mods and the rockers, and
Can you imagine one of those modded up at
yeah,
1/9? It would look
and
that's a best in show at Telford waiting
and
to happen.
that's you can you imagine, yeah, one with like, you know, a dozen mirrors on each
Yeah,
side, rear view mirrors
absolutely.
like they did. So yeah, there's huge opportunities. So for me, I think, fair play to them. I think again, it's smart.
Mm.
It it appeals to that right market. Personally, the Mercedes Benz SSK is beautiful, but I think there's better kits that they've already done, not kits, but better cars like the
Right.
Bugatti that they've done in the past, which are
Yeah.
more beautiful to my eye.
Mhm.
Um,
It is
but
quite Teutonic.
yeah, but I think that's quite a
Mm.
smart move because it
Yeah.
just take it a little bit outside of, Germany is a big market.
Mm.
The Mercedes SSK, it'll sell well in Europe, I'm sure.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I think it's smart, but I think the Vespa might just edge it.
Mhm.
So that's why I chose the Vespa. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think Italieri, even if Airfix had brought some stuff out for the civilian cars, I think they'd be steamrolled by
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
stuff that Italieri.
Yeah.
You can see where they've invested in here
Yes.
very
Yeah.
clearly.
The only comment my dear wife had when I was talking her through these things was, "Have they done a Lambretta as well?"
Well, yeah, that's the other one, isn't it? Yeah,
That's the thing, because she had a Lambretta when she was young. Didn't have a
yeah,
Vespa, she had a Lambretta, and I am sure they will sell as many of these as they care to press, and then they will be saying, "Okay, Giuseppe, my friend, get on that CAD system. I want a Lambretta by the end of the day."
yeah,
You know, it's you've done it once, you can do it a similar project, get it done, and that will also sell
yeah,
enormously well, and well
yeah,
done them for doing that.
yeah.
I think actually those cars, apart from the SM79, that was like one of the massive highlights for me of their range.
Mm,
It's home territory for them. Vehicles, they do them very well, generally speaking. Big vehicles, they tend to do very well. Um,
yeah,
they're knocking that out of the park. Absolutely knocking it out of the park.
yeah. Certainly better than the large scale military vehicles. Anyway.
Yes, there is that. There is that.
Right. So overall, 2-1, Airfix edge out the vehicle category, but at least Italieri have a point on the books, which is good.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, ahoy there, my shipmate. We'll go offshore now. I told you it's been a long week.
Aye, aye,
Well,
Captain.
we have a look at the ship releases. So, what caught your eye in the releases of ships
Well,
this time round?
I must say, not a lot. Well, I'm not a naval modeler by heart. I think a lot of the Airfix vintage classic ships are questionable.
Mm,
Um, I went over this in my reaction to their releases, but the HMS Suffolk and the HMS Cossack, the tribal class,
mhm,
and the county class are pretty good. The rest of them don't make any sense to me at all. You can buy better for cheaper in 700 scale. I know it's slightly larger, but not hugely.
mm,
HMS Prince is very niche. Um, Italieri have the MAS 2N, or the MAS
mhm,
2N, 35th scale, which is a great kit. This is a slightly different version. They've released it I think this is the third release.
mhm,
That will do really well, I'm sure. But so it would have gone to Italieri, but for one vintage classic that Airfix released, and people may say this is controversial in it being in a ship, but that's what Airfix classifies it on their
mhm.
website. So if
Absolutely.
they actually have a category and it's in ships, and that is the vintage classic SR4N hovercraft, which I think a lot of people saw on that release and were already like partitioning their money.
Mhm.
uh, I thought they would do this at some point. I thought it might be last year or the year
Yeah,
before. They've come out and done it now. However many of these they can make, I'm sure they will sell,
totally
um,
agree.
because it is completely unique. Um, and it has the vintage classic nostalgia appeal. I never built one, my dad did. Um, it might be a terrible kit. I don't think that really matters.
No.
um, it's got to be done. So for
Mm.
me, yeah, I mean it's 1:144 scale. It's not a huge scale. That's not really the point.
It's a
Um,
fairly substantial size thing.
it is a pretty big thing. I mean, you think it was a fairly compact thing.
144th. It is huge,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
Um, all those people thinking, but that's a tiny scale. Yeah, but for something which classed as a ship, it's not. So,
Mm,
I mean, the fact that these things, were even dreamt up is astonishing. And
mm,
it failed really because it was just incredibly loud
mhm. Yeah.
and pretty expensive. Um, but what a great off the wall piece of engineering.
Mm,
Again, it harkens back to a time when Britain was innovating rather
mm,
than stagnating.
mm,
um, so yeah, I think it has that kind of appeal of almost what could have been.
mhm,
I think it's kind of what makes the Fallout series of games and TV show appealing as well. It's that
mhm,
kind of alternate history 50s. This is
mhm,
kind of like almost like an alternate history 60s. You can go back and imagine what if these things were actually like the fairy Rotterdine as well,
mm,
Rotterdine, whatever you want to call it. Um, so yeah, I think for me, it's the Hopcraft. What about
mm.
yourself?
I would 100% agree with you on that. Um, some years ago, when we had a Creators Day at Margate with Airfix, and we had a tour of the place. Obviously, the ground floor, not the first floor where they're actually designing stuff, but it took us on a tour of the ground floor, and they had a load of molds there in the mold store. And I shot an interview with Dale there about some stuff, and there was the mold for the Rotodyne was there, and
Mhm.
I'm with Dale, make that, reissue that. That's a license to print money right there.
Mm.
And there's a couple of other ones around, and then there's the SRN4 mold was there, and that one too. You have to re-release that. You'll sell all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, these are just like molds. We're not sure what they're like and all that. He was lying through his teeth. They're actually all of those were actually being shipped out to India like a week later, but
Yeah.
they hadn't been moved out of the way as he had told someone to do, so that there were. As soon
Well,
as
they're
the
quite heavy,
Rotodyne,
aren't they?
yeah, as soon as the Rotodyne came out, I thought that's it. The SRN4's got to come out soon. It's a little longer coming out than I originally thought it would be, but I'm so glad to see it. My memory of it from my youth was, I think part or all of the roof was transparent, molded in clear plastic, so you could see inside all the seats and where the cars were. And I think the cars were molded in clear as well.
Yeah, because it's got all the seats inside, hasn't it? I remember
Yeah,
that from my dad making it.
and
Yeah.
it's like old Austin 1300s and VW Beetles and stuff like that. So they're like period cars as well, which is fantastic fun. Um, I only went on once to France and back, and yes, it was astonishingly noisy,
It would
but great fun.
it would
Just
probably be illegal now, just from a health and safety point of view, in terms of damaging your ears.
oh, totally. They have to give everyone those noise cancelling headphones. Yes, yeah, it's absolutely bonkers. But and now as we're chatting, I'm thinking, oh no, I've got to order another one because I'm going to do one in the original colours, and I'm definitely going to do one as like a Royal Marine force projection what if kit, and have some, try and find some 144th scale Land Rovers and 105 mil howitzers and all sorts of stuff like that, and do one as a military version that could have been, because just because it could be done.
Sort of an anti-stealth craft.
again, a thing that if you're on the receiving end of it, you know things are going to go very badly for you because it is shouting at you all the way to the beach. It's shouting at you.
Sort of like the projection of imperial power. It's like, we're
Yeah,
coming.
yeah. It's like Melchett in Blackadder. It's going around going "Bah!" at the enemy. It's brilliant, and absolutely, I would imagine that is in their top three of pre-orders. I would hazard a guess,
Yeah,
even amongst the competition of things like the Phantom and all the rest of it, and the Canberra and whatever. I thought that just the pure nostalgia and the fact people have been wanting that to come back for a long time,
yeah.
me included.
I would
Um,
expect so. Definitely.
Absolutely wonderful.
Um, so overall, the category, though, I feel is kind of a draw because
Yeah.
the MAS2N is a really nice kit, and seeing it again is good.
Okay.
I think the Airfix stuff, it's all. I mean, they just. I don't know where they, went to get. I don't know whether they accidentally shipped out the King George V, the Nelson and stuff, all those tools out to India at the same time as the the others, and they just impressed them, so they had to release them.
Yeah.
Um, but it's kind of like it feels a bit like the Italeri 1/35th scale armor and stuff. It's just like I don't know who they're trying to kid with them.
Well, I
Um,
wonder whether with doing like the gift set of the Sink the Bismarck,
oh,
for example,
I didn't
which
even
again
I
got
didn't even consider
Bismarck
it's
and
1/1200 scale, isn't it?
yeah.
It's
But
yeah,
having dug all of those out, I do wonder whether they just sort of took a load more things
yeah.
off the shelf. Yeah, you basically just get that pallet there with all those tools. Go and get them test shot. Don't know what. I don't care what they are. Get them done.
Well, that actually brings us nice. That's a nice segue, Gary, into the
Mhm.
last category, which is figures, space, and sci-fi, because
Excuse me.
we have a fairly limited amount of, let's say, esoteric releases here. For Airfix, we got the One Small Step set, the Roman Fort and figures, and Sherwood Castle and figures. And in Italeri, we have the Austerlitz battle set. So fairly limited. Not really that surprising that it was fairly limited.
Mm.
Um, but Gary, what did you choose here?
Well, again, purely out of nostalgia, I went for the One Small Step set because I remember it. It's again a very nostalgic thing. I remember being woken up in the very early hours of the morning. I think it was just about 3 o'clock in the morning our time to watch Neil Armstrong stepping out of Apollo 11 onto the moon in 1969, July 1969. It was the start of a lifelong passion about space flights. It ended up being a large part of my job, talking to the guys at NASA and stuff like that, and going to see them. And to the point of on our honeymoon, we went to JPL in Pasadena on the way round and got a tour there of whilst they were putting the Cassini spacecraft together. Um, my only the only thing I never understood, even back in those days, was why you got like 16 astronauts when it carries two. You know, it was a
Yeah,
bit like I'm not sure this is, and that's probably the start of my of liking Airfix, but also my guys really
yeah.
of Airfix. You know what I mean? It's like
Good bit.
I really don't understand that. I understand it's different poses, but you're not going to put all 16 on the diorama because it would look silly.
Yeah,
And it comes with a diorama base as well. So that's for that reason. I remember having the Roman figures. Were they the ones where you had to stick the shields onto the
yeah,
arms, the little pins to hold the
yes, they
shields
were.
on. And you had the ancient Britons with one guy with a big axe or something.
Yep.
Lovely to see that they brought back the Roman fort for that.
I,
And
I
likewise,
actually, I actually built. Say built. I bought and painted the Romans and Britons for my ex-wife.
oh
Um,
wow,
when I was before, long before we were married,
mm,
um, because she was an ancient historian. She loved the
all
Romans,
right,
so I was just like, oh, I'll get these. This will be cute thing. What a pain in the ass painting all those things was.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I didn't go for those. However, I actually went for the Sherwood Castle set.
Okay.
And there's a couple of reasons why. One, I think the one small step set is just vastly overpriced. Um,
Yes, it is
if you get
expensive.
a 1/72nd scale lander and basically a box of those little figures, which are worth almost nothing,
Mm,
and then a vac form base, and it's like it's £35. It's
mm.
like, oh my god! It's like where? Where is that? I don't know if there's like licensing with NASA. I don't know, but
No, there's not. The
yeah,
license NASA doesn't assert copyright on any of or intellectual property on any of their things.
yeah. Unlike some people, but for me, the Roman set, the fort is really basic, and it's not really a fort,
Mm,
and it's fine if it's just like a play set for killer stuff. However, the Sherwood Castle set, I think, actually has a kind of a dual purpose because with the popularity of things like Dungeons and Dragons,
mhm.
this would be perfect for sort of role playing games and
Okay.
wargaming in that sort of scale. It's actually a decent size set. If you actually look at the castle itself, there's a
Mhm,
fair amount in there. And that's 24.99 RRP. So you're going to
mhm,
be able to pick it up for sort of 22, £23.
mhm,
I mean, the figures, yeah, you probably, give them to your kids or whatever. But I think actually that's not a bad set, for a not for the market that it was originally or probably actually intended for.
mm,
But I think that might actually have legs beyond where, if Airfix marketed it correctly, which
mhm,
obviously I don't think they're going for that, but obviously the way I'm going to be selling it will be, it could, because that 24.99 is not much in that realm, of
mm,
miniature sort of collectors, painters, D&D players, all that kind of thing. So I think that could actually be quite a smart thing.
mhm,
Um, so it's just based on that, and the value associated with that.
mm,
Otherwise, I think it's a pretty poor crop.
mm,
I mean, Airfix released a whole bunch of other figures, both its figures and the Italeri ones, though they're not models, they're just figures.
mm,
And they're vinyl, they're not polystyrene. So
mm,
they're difficult to paint, they bend and all that kind of problem. So I always find the inclusion of those things with Airfix releases a little bit puzzling
mm,
in kind of where they're directing them. But
mhm,
I think the Italieri ones actually have more legs in that respect because they're Napoleonics. And, people do Napoleonics battles with, masses of ranked figures, which
mm,
those kind of sets are ideal for. Um,
mm.
I'm not I'm not
Yeah.
sure that many people are doing wargaming with Romans or Robin of Locksley.
Yeah. I
Just
think also for Italeri, but they won 72nd or something, the figures, I can't remember. I think they are.
I think so,
I
yeah.
I think
Well,
most war gamers are either gonna sort of 15, 18 mil figures or 28 mil figures for Napoleonics. War gamers wouldn't touch that, I don't think.
really?
Um, yeah. I mean, hat industries do quite nicely molded
They
figures
do, yeah.
for war gaming. Um,
But those are
uh,
72nd scale, I think, aren't they?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But I certainly when I was doing war gaming, it was like 18 mil. Tony Barton's 18 mil figures,
yeah.
made by Eureka now. They are stunningly good, well molded. They're metal. They're stunningly well molded. They last forever. Really is, and they come in an astonishing variety of poses.
Yeah.
Even within, where you say something like Fusilier marching port arms, there's 4 different poses within that, different leg positions and stuff. My absolute favorite is Spanish infantry standing. So most of the Spanish infantry are standing with their muskets. Like one of them has a cigar. Oh, it's just beautifully modelled. It's just
Excellent.
beautifully modelled. And you think, yeah, I'm sorry, Italeri can't compete with that. And it's nice the set comes with a laser cut building. Again, maybe that's of use, but I don't know what they're looking at, what price that's going to be out for. But
Yeah, I
I
don't know.
think most Napoleonic builders are going to be either using something from hat or they're going to be using metal.
But there's a lot of companies that make them. For 156 scale, Renedra do a whole range of. They do everything. They do all different periods. They do all the way from medieval bastions, and they've even got the different names, which I don't know, for all the like different types of fences and
Mhm,
dog tents as they're called.
Yeah.
not pence for dogs. It's a type of tent apparently.
Mhm.
I only know because I sell them. So
Yeah.
I've learned a lot. This job has taught me a lot. Um,
Which are different from pup tents, by the way.
yes, indeed. So yeah, I think because the war games sector has exploded really in that way because of the availability of everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think they are dancing around the edges here, both of them, which is why I
Mhm.
think the Sherwood Castle set actually has accidentally more appeal
Mhm.
to a completely different market than it was intended to,
Mhm.
and where its price point is actually very good.
Mm.
So, but yeah, I would probably say the people that I'm talking about would buy that set, throw the figures away, and then paint it up and make it like you know a fantasy
Mhm.
castle for wizards and things to explore. So,
Mhm. Good call.
but I think overall in the release section, I think for me it's kind of a draw because they're kind of in the same space
Mhm.
of it's a bit tentative, right?
Mhm.
If we're talking last year with Airfix releasing the Artemis and Space Shuttle and the
Mhm.
Apollo 5, it'd be an easy win for them. But
Yeah. Yeah.
we're not in
I think
2025.
also they've done some 1/32 figure releases, Airfix, this year. They've got the Commandos infantry support set and
Yeah,
German mountain troops. Now, I don't know anything about. I've never seen those. I've never come across them even.
yeah. I think they are just the figures, not the multi-pose
Right.
polystyrene
Oh
ones.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
They're just like a figure set, but I know nothing about them.
I
So
remember having some of the Germans and the Africa Corps
oh right,
and British Eighth Army as a child because they're just upscaled versions of some of the 1/72nd scale.
right.
So yeah,
Yeah,
different time, I feel.
yeah, yeah.
So that leaves us then with the very last piece of this, which is our personal favorite kit from all those releases, which doesn't have to take into account any of the other factors,
Hmm.
and who had the best overall release.
Hmm.
So what was your favorite kit out of all of them, Gary?
I think you've probably gathered by our conversation already. It's the Jaguar T2. I'm beyond excited. Literally, as soon as I was. But the other thing was this year. Normally, I'm like everyone else, glued to YouTube to watch the Airfix release, and I'm going, yes, oh, why? And oh, thank goodness. And where's just like everyone else this year? The moment of the thing dropping was exactly the start of the second act of The Lion King, which is where I was spending my afternoon with my dear wife up in London watching the very fine production of Disney's Lion King. However, I was sitting there in the interval going, please, please, just 5 minutes, just please give me 5 minutes. And just about, and the lights went down. Oh, yeah. So we came out of the theatre. Maria went off to the loo, and as soon that was it, straight onto it. Right, what's there? What's there? A T2 Jag, yes! And all these people looking at me is like, what is wrong with that man over there? It
Yeah,
was,
there's
I
no
was
Jaguars in the Lion King. What's he talking about?
yeah, yeah. The hyenas and the lions were good. I didn't even notice a jaguar. Aren't they South American? Um, it was just such a joy to me to see that. I instantly thought, I'm having that. At least one of those, and I cannot wait for it to be released. So for me, for many personal reasons, also because I think they are darned good kits,
Yeah.
with one or two reservations, like you should be able to have the flaps up
I
and
was
things.
just about to say, will they correct the flaps this time?
Apart from that, um, because they weren't always stored with the flaps down
No,
either,
no,
they quite
generally
often had
weren't.
the flaps up.
Yeah,
So, apart from that, it has to be the Jag T2 for me. That's
yeah,
just the way I am. How about
yeah.
yourself?
Um, against all odds, despite the fact that I think the SM79 will be great, I love some of the new toolings. The thing I'm most excited about is that hovercraft.
Excellent. Good man.
It's like, which is weird, right? I've never built it. I guess
Uh-huh.
it's a deep-seated thing from my childhood, right? Because my dad built it, and I remember all of the the seats being in it. It was a
Yeah.
magical kind of thing. Um,
Mm.
but from when I was very young, because I think when we moved when I was 8, it didn't make it in the move.
Right.
I
Okay.
think it was one of those things that was, decluttered.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it kind of has this mystique because I've never seen a kit of it actually,
Mm.
physically that I could hold. So, and I just think it is such a unique and bizarre piece of history. The fact that you've
Mm.
traveled on one, the thing
Mm.
actually went, but it wasn't just a concept, like the earlier little thing, which my
Mm.
dad also built. This was an actual working thing, and
Mm.
it's just mad. So for me, it has all of that quirky appeal that I love.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so I think for me, it's got to be the hovercraft.
Mhm.
Um, and then in terms of who wins the release overall, I don't think it's a close contest. I think
No.
Airfix take it fairly
Mhm.
easily. As we've gone through the categories,
Mm.
it's. I don't think that means that the Italeri release was bad.
Oh, no, far
I
from it.
just think it means that Airfix are. I think this is a top of their game release this year.
Absolutely. I would agree with you, looking back over the last few years,
Mm.
this really has the feel of this is where Airfix should be.
Yeah.
They should be doing this. They should be pumping out these amazing new tools. They should be doing their second and third year CapEx releases. They should be reintroducing good things that people want, and they should be knocking it. They said they reckon they've got about 700 molds of vintage classics to go
Mhm.
through. So my first thing was right. Ford Escort, Ford Capri, Lotus Cortina.
Do they have those though? Because a lot of
I
those are
don't know. I really don't know, but I'd like to know what the other 700 are. I'd love to have a nose around
because
that tool store with a set of post-its going, that one, that one.
yeah. There we go, Airfix. You should have a creator day where you invite us all, give us each a set of post-it notes we
Mm,
put our name on them all, and then we go and tag. We've only got a certain number, like give us 20
yeah,
each or something. We can
yeah.
only tag 20 molds and use that as a poll.
I
That would be
think
a
that'd
good
be
day.
really useful. I think that'd be a really well received day, actually. It'd be great publicity. Giving the punters what they want.
Exactly, it'd be great fun. But
Yeah.
okay, well, that brings us through to the end of all of the releases. So,
Mhm.
I mean, for me, cracking start to the year, right? Um,
Absolutely. I
it's
can't wait to see some of these in the flesh or in the plastic.
Yeah, and we still have Ravel, who's going to be at Nuremberg that
Hmm.
you'll be at, Gary. We have ICM.
Hmm.
Really looking forward to see what
Yeah.
ICM do. Um, and then we've got the Chinese manufacturers, and God only knows what they're going to do.
Mm. Or
Really.
indeed what they'll actually make.
Yeah, but I mean, we've seen like companies like Takom. Takom have been doing some amazing things recently.
Mm.
Border Model and Ryfield seem to be, progressively just getting better.
Hmm.
And that's without even touching, the massive one in the room, Zhongshan Yatai with Hobby Boss, Trumpeter, and I Love Kit,
Mm.
who are doing some subjects which, people complain about, oh, the accuracy of this isn't great. Yeah, but you don't have a kit of it otherwise.
Mm.
So, yeah, some of the kits are ropey, like that Challenger 2 of theirs is terrible.
Mm.
So just don't buy that. They won't care.
Hmm.
But if they're making good stuff, if you want a Queen Liz aircraft carrier, they're the only horse in the race. So
Absolutely.
um, I think it's very positive. It's a great start to the year. I'm really looking forward to what else is going to happen.
And I think it's a very positive outlook for the hobby as a whole.
Mm.
It's clear that there's a lot of money and time and effort being invested.
Yeah,
So, well done to all of them for supporting the hobby in that way.
yeah,
The
and that's
future of it.
big manufacturers too. We haven't even touched on some of the
Mm.
smaller ones.
Mm.
You know, is it DBMK or
Yes,
DMB? I can never get it right.
DBMK, DB model
DBMK.
kits. Yeah.
So yeah, I reached out to them recently, so we may have them on the show at one point.
Oh, excellent.
Um, they've obviously got some really, really nice kits. I'm really looking forward to the Hornet. It's
Hmm.
such a beautiful aircraft,
Mm.
and great to have home produced, really high quality kits.
Hmm.
These the smaller companies. It's always been a fragmented industry, but smaller companies now are able to produce kits of such high quality.
Mm.
that they can really get that injection of cash and produce more. So yeah, I only see good things ahead, providing the world stays in one piece. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
I can't wait to see their Sea Fury in 132nd. And of course, later in the year, the 148th Scimitar, which they're, again, one of these things they sell every single one they can make.
Yeah.
Really sensible releases, I think.
Yeah, just good choices. Yeah.
And molded in the United Kingdom, most of them. The high pressure moldings are all done here.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
What more could we ask for?
Exactly. The money to be able to buy them all.
Don't all shout at once, because we know you.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, well, time is getting on for us, so I think we should call it there.
Good plan. Good plan.
Okay,
I need to go get some coffee.
Gary.
Well, my pleasure talking to you, Alex, as always. And thank you to everyone for listening to us.
Thanks, everyone. If you did enjoy the show, please consider leaving us a review on whatever platform you listen to this on and telling other modelers about us.
If you'd like to see more from us and our modelling, please check out our YouTube channels of Man's Model Moments and Gary's Stuff. Just search for them on YouTube.
All the details are in the show notes, so until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.